Hi, my name's Alexandra, and I'm a survivor of human trafficking. I dated Chris in 2007, but it wasn't until 2019 that I realized I had survived human trafficking. Chris was a drug dealer, but he was a pretty bad one because he did all of the drugs he was supposed to sell. And that meant that he needed to find ways to supplement his income. As his girlfriend, and as what I thought was a good wifey, I wanted to help him. So I did. And it started out with me distracting people while he stole from them. I'd tell a joke over here, he'd steal a DVD player over here. It worked out pretty well. However, as with anything, eventually we needed more money. And that meant that what was being required of me was changing. Chris started needing me to do different things to distract people. So that started turning into suggestive dancing or sexual favors. And I started realizing that this was no longer a partnership and I was absolutely not in control of what was happening. Eventually, Chris needed more money, of course. And I found out that he was supplementing his income by selling photos of me. Unfortunately, some of those photos I'd taken myself and sent to him, but he had taken some as well while I wasn't paying attention or after he'd drugged me and I was out cold. He sold these photos to people, to friends, and I didn't know he was doing it for the longest time. When I found out, I did ask him to stop, but he didn't listen to me. One night, Chris and I went to the strip club that we used to frequent. And I didn't realize it at the time, but he must have made a deal with the owner of the strip club. He came up behind me and he picked me up and he put me on stage. And he whispered in my ear, "Don't get down until you've made me some money." I didn't realize for the longest time that Chris making money off the exploitation of my body meant that that counted as human trafficking. I knew I didn't like what he was doing. Eventually, I knew it was domestic violence, but it was a long time before I was willing to wear the label of survivor of human trafficking as well. Our relationship was tumultuous from the start. It was always abusive, and the abuse got worse and worse very quickly. Chris used not just threats of violence, but actual violence to keep me in line. So I knew that by the time I wanted to get out, getting out wasn't really an option. I also was extremely ashamed of what I'd done. You know, there's a lot of stigma that comes with sexual assault and domestic violence, but there's an added stigma that comes with human trafficking. Because at some point, you participated in the activities. You engaged in what was happening. It stopped being something that just happened to you and started being something that you did. And Chris knew that, and he knew I was ashamed. And he had all those pictures of me, and I didn't want them getting out. There was a number of reasons why I couldn't just up and leave. When I was 13 years old, I began being sexually assaulted by my best friend's uncle. This went on for many years, and I believe it was this childhood trauma that left me with a gaping vulnerability, one that Chris exploited. Traffickers are master predators, and they know how to find their prey. And I think it made it easy for him to pick on me and to manipulate me because I'd already been manipulated and abused as a child, and I hadn't addressed it or worked to heal that trauma. My story is not stereotypical. It's not like the movie Taken. There wasn't a bunch of motels or strings of men coming through hotel rooms. But unfortunately, my story is the common story. It's the one that happens most often and the one that we recognize the least to be human trafficking. So by sharing it, I'm helping people understand what really does fall under that umbrella. We all have vulnerabilities. Some of us have more than others. But by recognizing our vulnerabilities and addressing them, it gives us power over our vulnerabilities, rather than someone using them to have power over us. Hi, my name is Alexandra. I'm a wife, a mother, and the co-director and founder of Uprising.